Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech protected.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Thanks for being here today. My name is Anina Hansen and I'm with Trauma Responsive Monadnock, which is a program of Monadnock Family Services, and we produce Voices of Monadnock in cooperation with the Greater Monadnock Collaborative Chamber of Commerce. That's my 4 Monadnocks. I only messed up on one. It's about par for the course for me. And we have an awesome guest here with us today. Thank you so much for being here. Boo Martin.
Yes.
Yeah, welcome. So basically what I know about you, horses, farm, Temple. You're my first guest who lives in Temple.
Gateway to Monadnock.
There you go. Excellent. A well-deserved title. So why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do here in the Monadnock region?
That would be fun to do. So I grew up actually here from Lebanon, and I have loved the farm that I'm still on, lo these many years later. And I just adore the Monadnock region. I think there's such diversity of people. I think it's a real center for creativity. We have all sorts of music and art and beautiful stores and beautiful places to walk and be together. So I just love this community, and I'm pleased to be part of the Greater Monadnock Collaborative and have such admiration for their team and such admiration for Monadnock Family Services. So there's just a lot of wonderful organizations here.
There really are.
Is a real hotbed of not only creativity but community. And
Yes.
we've been talking as we were gearing up for this about how important community is.
Yeah.
And I feel very deeply rooted in this community and love lifetime friends. You never have a second chance to make an old friend, and I love what we do on the farm.
Nice. Sorry, I'm just getting my settings adjusted here to record this. So tell me more. What is it that you do on the farm? Because I love what you do on the farm. Tell our viewers what you're up to and have been up to for all these years.
It was pretty fun. This past Sunday, which is when you saw the farm for the first time, we had a birthday party to celebrate the 270 years of continual operation on this farm.
That's
And it's
awesome.
been only owned by 5 families that whole time. And of the 270 years, only 2 of them were owned by somebody that was not a veteran. So that is near and dear to my heart. I am not a veteran, but my father was. But we have had, over the course of my being there and actually growing up there, we have done a variety of things. When we moved up, we were a completely self-sufficient farm. We grew all of our own food, and I was convinced that we were the poorest kids in town because we had to do barn chores before and after school. And here we were living on 800 acres, and I thought nobody else has to raise all their food. And it was, as only kids can be perverse, when our parents would say, what would you like for your birthday dinner? We'd invariably say hot dogs or fish sticks because we didn't grow those. But it was such an idyllic growing up, and kind of similar to what you have done. My parents were very deeply rooted in the community and took in a lot of foster kids as well as older adults that needed sort of a leg up. So I feel like I had just such an idyllic childhood, and it gave me a passion to really try to make the world a better place for other people. And my sort of vehicle to do that has always been the horse. I'm a lifelong horse lover, but animal lover too. But what I did starting in 1971, while I was in college, my parents had lost the money on the stock market sort of wobble. And so they said, the bad news is that we don't have enough money for the next 3 years. The good news is we have enough money for your second semester of your freshman year. And the really good news is we'll help you in any way at the farm. So I gathered up my two best friends and named after my favorite book as a little girl, we started a summer camp, summer riding camp for girls. And we had 8 little girls. And I'm in touch with all of those 8 girls except one.
Nice.
Who sort of fell off actually years ago. Not fell off the radar years ago. But that has gone on and continues to go on at a place called Touchstone Farm, which is right around the corner from this farm. So it's pretty great since 1971. So this would be its 53rd year.
Amazing.
So it was really so cool during the Paris Olympics, through Facebook and through just TV and watching the sports. A lot of our pony farmers have gone on to really significant careers in the horse industry. So that always warms my heart.
Nice.
When I see the veterinarians that have done, or the researchers, or the people that are videoing for the Olympics, or part of the care team of the horses. So it's very special. But out of that, we ended up deciding after I finished college to actually buy the farm from my parents in 1975. And we were thrilled. I was at the time married to an Episcopal priest, and he wanted a retreat ministry as opposed to a parish ministry. So we actually used what was our home, and we lived above the kitchen, and used that. And we were so proud because everybody wanted to send, particularly their youth groups, to us. And we didn't realize that we were charging way too little.
Oh, okay.
And we didn't make chaperones come with them.
So the kids loved it.
As new the place.
Yeah.
And so we just had wonderful youth ministry, youth groups, a lot of youth groups, and then also parish groups. So we have long been doing retreats.
Nice.
So then we also started a horse business. Somebody saw me at church and said, "I hear that you're really great with kids and you've got horses. Can my kiddo ride with you?" So that was the start of doing an instructor training school. The start of doing a big riding lesson program that morphed into an instructor training school. And perhaps the thing that I most loved was I realized how many of the kids, and even adults that rode with us, because it was both kids and adults, that were struggling with an issue of depression or eating disorders or anxiety, cutting, all those kinds of things that can really stand in the way of robust health, and that they were particularly drawn to the horses. So it was my huge desire to start a therapeutic riding program. And so Pony Farm was the able-bodied program, and Horsepower was the therapeutic program, and that too continues to go on. So it's
Boy, you just speak my language, Boo. I just love this so much. The things that you made happen there that were all about being of service to people who've faced a lot of adversity.
Well, the biggest thing that I can say to that, other than thank you, is that it's always been a team. And I really do believe, as corny as it sounds, that teamwork does make the dream work. And we have gone through ups and downs in the economy. We had one summer where a Camp Kiddo brought in a horse that had a very contagious and deadly illness. And so the kids couldn't even ride, and we had to keep the horses separate and put our shoes in bleach so that we didn't cross-contaminate. And we had practically 100% return rate that next summer, even though they didn't ride. So we've really been able to go through both health things and economies and luckily never a fire, but significant things that, because we had a strong team, we persevered. Certainly through COVID was tough to keep a farm going during COVID.
Yeah, I would think.
It was, again, a team that made that work.
Very cool. So what sorts of programs are you running right now? Or I know you have a new one that you're preparing to launch. Yes. What are you doing that you're excited about right now?
Well, we have continued the retreat theme at the farm, and probably our bread and butter is farm stays, whether they're through Airbnb or Vrbo, or a lot of private stays. And it is such a joy to have people come to the farm, see them love it, and to celebrate all that's good. We've had, just this summer, we had a wonderful 50th anniversary party. So we had 4 generations of people that chose Stepping Stones Farm and Retreat Center to celebrate their 50th anniversary. We had another unbelievably moving time with all the family members of a beloved community member that had passed. And so celebration of her life, and to be together over 3 days, and then about 200 people came to her actual celebration, and to host it there at the farm was just so special. We had, again, recently, had a husband that wanted to surprise his wife for her 40th birthday. And so he did it all with me kind of secretly in the background. And they flew in family from England, and their nephew was about to deploy. And so it was kind of a combination. But to just be part of happy celebrations that celebrate all that's good and right with the world. And it sort of is my antidote to the news, I think.
Right.
But I just love it, and it feels so fortunate, truly blessed, because I think we get to see people at their best at the farm. So that's probably the bulk of the business. Baby showers, college reunions, friend reunions. We have a lot of kids that come from the Boston colleges that can't go home on vacations. So a lot of foreign students, we have a map, and where people have come to that farm, come from and come to our farm, it's just very moving, and I love people, so I think it's a perfect job for me. The other thing that we're doing more and more of that I am truly excited about, and it feels like there's a real need, is retreats. Some are family retreats, some are men's retreats, some are women's retreats, but they're all toward finding more peace in the world, more wellness, more connection, to use our favorite words, community and connection. And so to have the farm really have purposeful activities there means a great deal to me. And so we have kind of morphed the facilities into being really conducive to a retreat format. For example, we've just renovated part of the second floor of our historic barn to be either a conference room if people are trying to teach specific things, or a yoga meditation room. So that's what I mean, to sort of morph what was only a horse farm into a more multi-purpose farm. So we love hosting other people's retreats and helping them find the right food, the right level of food, that sort of words go with the music for the retreat. And there's a big call for that, so we sort of maybe hit that at a good time. But the thing I'm probably the most excited about, personally and professionally, is a new program called Wisdom Horse. And it is based on the Outward Bound model of experiential education. And I got certified 2 years ago as it's not a life coach, but it is using activities in partnership with horses, kind of in place of what Outward Bound does with the rock wall or the sailing ship or solo out by yourself on the mountainside. And horses are so much part of a herd and so much part of a group that they each have specific roles within that group. And it's just, and so they have used the herd structure to stay safe, because they're always the prey animal and never the predator. So they need to quickly assess the space. Is it safe? Is that incoming mountain lion safe? Is that incoming other herd of horses safe? What is going to happen? So you have to be congruent and together, kind of like birds in a flock that stay together. And so what we do as the facilitators is do a pre-assessment of what the group needs. And the group may need work on boundaries if they're trying to create more wellness for themselves. Saying no, or being able to trust more easily, or being able to maybe not trust so easily. So it has lots of implications for health and wellness. And it also has a lot of implications for, in the context of either nonprofits or business, small business, corporations, even government groups that have to work together as a team. So we, like Outward Bound, but in partnership with the horses, assess what the group needs, what the context is, and then we pair the right activities that kind of brings out those issues. And it is just fascinating to watch people. Some work together fine as a team, and the horse does it like that, or others are sort of all over the place, and the horse is like, I can't tell what you want me to do, so they stand there stock still. So it really is such a mirror, and then so many metaphors that come out, that it's fascinating. We follow a very definite debriefing, because it's the sort of unpacking what happened that adds the muscle to the bones, actually.
Amazing.
Then we say, what did the horses do? Why do you think they did that? Gee, does that ever show up at the dinner table with your family, or in your work group, or your sports team, or your first responder team, or on your nursing shift? So it's very context oriented, and in many ways, people paint their own story on what the horse did, and what you might see is very different than what I see, but it's what kind of needs to come to the forefront. And we believe that it's really a great way to connect your head, your heart, your sort of energy, your spirit, all together in a way that just talk therapy or a presentation about diversity, equity, and inclusion. You can hear a presentation in a PowerPoint. Boy, you work with a herd of horses. This, by the way, is all unmounted. So people don't have to know anything about horses. But it really is a way to unpack things like diversity, equity, inclusion, justice. Or
interesting.
We've done groups with people that have been part of AA. And, what does Temptation Alley look like for you? It's just fascinating. And so what we have assembled is 6 of us are the facilitators. And we kind of pick, depending on which kind of, whether it's wellness or breast cancer survivors or first responders, or been asked to do something for a local school board, which I think would be absolutely fascinating.
Nice.
So it sort of is multifaceted to be able to to address a lot of different needs.
Boy, it sure is. And I have so many thoughts listening to all of this, but it just, my whole thing is the nervous system and self-regulation in response to whatever sorts of traumatic experiences people might have gone through, and how the nervous system gets affected, especially during developmental stages. And just this idea of having a non-human mirror for that, and like this big animal, like you were saying, I was just at the farm a few days ago and just staring like, this is a big, heavy, strong animal, and who you have to be and how you have to be present in yourself in order to tap into that ability to connect with and or control. I don't know if you use that word, but to work in partnership with this big, strong animal. That is fascinating. And, the healing qualities in that, the healing properties, but also just that self-presence of how you have to be aware of yourself and your behavior. I just find that fascinating by itself.
Well, I will tell a story on myself.
Oh, excellent.
So I have done quite a lot of therapy, and I know you're part of MFS, and I'm a real believer in psychotherapy. And I kept talking about that I really had bad boundaries, and was totally up here in my head about it. Bad boundaries meaning, I'd let meetings run too long. If somebody really needed me, I'd pick up the phone at 10 o'clock at night. That's what I mean by bad boundaries. And just sort of always giving. I bet you probably understand about that.
I'm afraid I do.
Yeah. And it's both good, but it's got a
Right.
dark side to it. So a friend of mine who was a psychotherapist said, was leading us through activities. And here I'm supposed to be this horse guru, right? And she said, okay, everybody, make a circle in the sand. It was in the indoor arena. And you stay in the circle and you keep your horse out of the circle. And I couldn't do it. The horse was just in right there with me, and I was like just very ineffectively keeping the horse. And I finally dropped the lead chain and I just sat down and I wept. And I had been working up here, and it took actually doing it and having the circle and not being able to do it. I got down to here. So it was definitely into the somatic part of you. And I've been working on that for session after session in talk therapy. But just the actual seeing it was just, and experiencing it, just took it to a much more, and I remember that was probably 20 years ago. And I still think of that because it just packed such a punch. It was such an aha moment.
Yeah, I believe it, because there again, that's that physical out picturing of an experience that up until then was just kind of abstract, a thought, but to actually have something that mirrors that to you, it's powerful.
And I think about watching how peaceful the horses are out grazing. They know their pecking order. And think about how much more peaceful and less stressful it would be at work if your work team was like that.
Right.
Or if when you came home it was just peace and everybody sort of had worked out their struggles. I just think that this is a very powerful gift to bring either to corporate cultures or to families, or to have people that are first responders or veterans that have seen and maybe done awful things that they just can't get around to have the acceptance of a horse. I've seen 6'8" great big tall men veterans that when the horse follows them and what they call it joins up with them, these are folks that often are isolated and feeling really out of sync with the rest of the world. And when the horse joins up with them and walks along with them, just silently weeping because it's just such a visceral experience. And they're hungry for that. And we've also seen groups of people that have people from the corporate side of things who are in their basements, doing Zoom meetings all day.
Right.
And they haven't been knee to knee, sitting around with a cup of coffee or a glass of wine around the fire circle. So I think that the farm also can really reconnect people. They kind of fell on this experience like dogs hungry for a little piece of meat. And to see them so enjoy being together was just really rewarding, and sort of the work and the planning and the certification and building the team. Just it's getting to be very rewarding.
Oh, I can imagine. And it speaks so much to the human need for connection. Like we were saying, we need to be part of a community. We need to have a place we belong, and we just need to interact. We need that social give and take. It's interesting that we can have it with an animal and have it be also very healing. But then the idea of people coming together to interact with those animals, it's like it ticks so many boxes of how to be well in ways that our culture isn't, like this isn't here for us at that level at all nowadays. So you're filling a very unique need there.
Well, it feels very exciting, and we do all need to know how to lead and how to follow, and how to take risks, but how much is too much risk? What is coming into not being willing to take enough risk, particularly in a business. And I am very interested in both the wellness piece, but also for the business piece of this, because I know what it's taken to be a small business owner for now, 53 years. And I think the only magical thing that I've learned over all that time is that having the right team and a leader in every chair makes a real difference. And,
Wow.
And it's a way to maintain employee loyalty and connection and commitment that they show up and feel part of something greater than themselves.
That is so great. This always feels like such a short time, but we only have like a minute left. So just what do you want to close with? What's your vision, or what's your gratitude? Or
I think my long-term vision is to make the farm sustainable so that it can continue to be a community gathering place.
And so is that a place where people can come by and say hi and have a visit and see horses? And
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Very cool. So this
It's
is
a very welcoming, inclusive place.
nice. Well, I certainly experienced it that way this weekend. So Stepping Stones Farm
Yes.
in Temple, New Hampshire, right here in our beautiful Monadnock region. And you, Boo, just thank you for all that you've done and your
you
years
for
of
inviting
service. Yeah,
Well, it's been my honor and my privilege.
it's very cool. It's exciting to see and hear about what you've done. So I hope that our viewers can check out the farm as well and come by and have a chat with Boo Martin, huh?
And we have a website. It's www.steppingstonesfarm.com, so it's easy to remember.
Nice and easy.
It's
Awesome.
about 40 minutes from Keene.
Yeah, doable. Cool. Okay, thank you so much for being here today to talk with us. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. I'm Anina Hansen, and I look forward to seeing you next time on Voices of Monadnock.